All right, everyone. Today we have Chris Doe, who I've been following for a while. He does a bunch of different stuff around design. I've been following his Instagram. It's crazy. You got to follow him on Instagram. It's the Chris Doe, right?
Yep.
Your goal is to educate 1 billion people on.
I want to teach 1 billion people how to make money doing what they love without selling their soul, without feeling gross.
Oh, without feeling gross. That's important. So I want to come back to that. But I would like to understand a little more kind of who you are and what your story is.
I've been traditionally trained as a graphic designer, went to Art Center College of Design. Shortly after graduating, I created my own company, which is called Blind. We were one of the early pioneers in the motion graphics scene before the word motion graphics was even a term. And I've been running that business for the last 24 plus years. In the last couple of years, I've transitioned. I've gone from doing motion design, which is essentially creating commercials for big advertising companies, anyone from Nike to Microsoft to Sony PlayStation and everybody in between, car companies, dog food, you name it, we've done it. Last couple of years, I've ventured into creating content for YouTube, and it's spawned a brand new business, a business that I'm happy to say it's now a 7-figure business, and this is where I'm putting all my energy and effort into today.
Got it. And did you step away from that consultancy agency?
Yeah, ultimately, it's still there. It's still in kind of operational form. It's there, but we don't take any more client work, and I'm contemplating what the heck to do with that entity now that I've shifted the entire team over from a service company to a content company.
And actually, this has happened quite a bit on this podcast, where you have people that were previously running agencies where they switch into like an info business or like a software business. So I guess for you guys, at what point did you decide to make that transition? I mean, how was the company doing before? Because to make that switch is pretty big, right?
Yeah. In December of last year, my team and I, we got together and we said, can we make a go at this? Can we focus our energies in the content space and create a passive income business model, essentially, and leave behind the client work? And we all collectively thought about it, and we thought there's a big gap between where we were as a service company and a content company. But if we focus, our time and energy is better spent. So I'll do a little math with you, okay? Mm-hmm. We walked away from 2 jobs totaling $700,000 in service work, 2 commercials, essentially. We looked at one of them, which was budgeted at $400,000. And we said if we ran this project really well, due to the nature of its complexity with live action, visual effects, photoreal rendering, all that kind of stuff, maybe we can get 20-25% profit. And we started looking at that number and said, if that's really couple of months worth of work and that's all the profit that we have, are we better off sitting down using that exact same time creating a new product to sell, which we own the intellectual property of and will generate income for us for the rest of our lives? After a little deliberation, it was pretty clear which way we're going to go. Mm-hmm. And that's why we decided, we're going to say no. And it was very difficult to say no because it's a real job with really exciting tech companies and people who are doing things that we love. Normally we would kill for an opportunity like that. And we said no, and we just walked away from it.
Yep. So you're at the stage where it's now like, okay, I'd rather go for, better profit margins, right? And also it's less stress for you and your team to be teaching, correct?
Yeah. It is better profit margin, but then you're selling lots of little things versus mm-hmm. one big thing. Instead of killing the whale, you're kind of foraging for plants and fruits and little things that you can eat, but those are plentiful versus like going in that feast and famine state. This is highly predictable. We make money every single day, no matter what we do.
Okay. And so what is the new business called?
It's called The Futur,
Uh-huh.
and it's an online education platform. We essentially teach creative people the business of design and the design of business.
Got it. Okay. And so how do you guys make money? How much are the courses?
We make money through a number of different channels, and you're going to hear about a couple of them. Mm-hmm. The way that we make the bulk of the money is we sell courses and ebooks. Those are essentially glorified PDFs. And the courses are a mixture of PDF and video-based instruction. We have some courses that range from, I think the lowest price one is $149. The most expensive course that we sell is a business boot camp. That's $4,000. Mm-hmm. So they run the gamut, as you can see.
Got it. And you also do coaching, correct?
I do coaching. I do private coaching for some creatives who need it. That's $1,000 an hour. I do it remotely. Mm-hmm. Those are taped. We get some money through sponsorships, through sustaining members who just donate money to us. There's about 500 of those people. Then there's a peer-to-peer group coaching thing, which is about 300 people.
Got it. Yeah, I love the design community because whenever they see something good, they become rabid fans, right? Working in online education and in the design space in the past, a friend started DMing me your stuff. He's like, dude, you got to look at this guy, right? And then I kept looking at your stuff more and more, and your Instagram kept getting bigger and bigger. You're growing, what, 10,000 followers a week right now?
Yeah.
And it's all organic, right?
Yes.
So can you talk a little bit about how the strategy behind the social channels you started attacking? Because you're big on, I think, YouTube, couple 100,000, Instagram too. So what was the thinking behind the strategy behind all this?
Yeah. So there's a funny conversation. I was talking to one of my creative directors, Matthew Encina, yesterday. And he's like, Chris, it seems like whatever you focus your energy on and you excel because you can reverse hack, break things down and go into it. So he was running the YouTube channel, which has now 600,000 subs. And then I started playing around with Instagram. Like, what is this Instagram thing? I grew a following despite not even really trying, very inconsistent with posting. And part of my coaching group, I said, you guys, we talk too much. Let's take action. So I want us all to put a goal, a 2-week sprint, and let's do something. I'll start. I said, you know what? I have it in my mind. I want to grow to 200,000 followers or follows by the end of the year. And I did the math. And it worked out to be about 405 follows per post. And I had to post twice a day from here to the end of the year. And I was thinking, this is not possible for me, because my current rate of posting was once every 4 or 5 days. Now it's going to switch over to twice a day. But I did this knowing that there's going to be a big stretch goal. I'd learn a lot, even in failure. And I just wanted to show them it's okay to say some crazy thing and go for it and not make it. I was trying to set the example. First day comes around, I knew how to post. I post one thing, but I only made one post and I was feeling really bad. It took me 7 hours to make that one post. This is not sustainable. Day 2, I said, okay, I'm not even living up to my own goal. This looks bad for my community, bad as me as a coach. I made a deal with myself. You don't eat lunch until you finish your first post. It's about 2 o'clock now. I can hear my stomach grumbling. I haven't eaten breakfast. Nothing is in my body. I was, get this thing done. And sometimes, actually with almost all the time with creativity, we expand and contract to hit a deadline. The deadline is there. I did it. I put it out thinking the world's going to judge me. It's not as high quality merely because of effort. There was less time to put into this. The surprising thing is it took off. I'm like, okay, I'll do another one. And I'll work on another one. In a day, I'm feeling like this is gross. This is not good. This is low value content. Nobody's going to want to watch or look at this thing. I posted at midnight thinking if it's horrible when I wake up in the morning, I'll just delete it. I'll post it at a low volume traffic time. I post it, I wake up in the morning, it's got 7,000 likes on it, a bunch of follows, like, what is going on? So moving forward, that week, the goal was get to 5,000 new follows. I hit 10,000 in the first week. I was like, I'm onto something here. And I keep doing it. And this is why I'm now at roughly about 10,000 follows a week.
And what's your total follow count right now?
It's like 170 or 80,000. I lose track.
It's crazy because whenever you watch this video, it's probably going to be way higher by the time you watch this video, meaning like if you see this in a couple months or so. So you didn't do anything particularly hacky. It's just really good content, right? You spent a lot of time on it. It's not like I'm going to join like a pod and get a bunch of people to promote it.
I did do a little homework beforehand, and all the things that they tell you to do, to follow people, to make comments and do all this kind of stuff and use these hashtags, I did none of it. I read, I'm like, this is boring. Yeah. My brain is not built for this. What I did do though, and we all know this, every time some social platform rolls out a new feature, relatively speaking, and they cheat the algorithm to get people to adopt it. It's just a effort versus reward. So carousels have been underutilized, at least in the 10 slide carousel thing. And I had seen other people do it. And one person in particular, I do need to mention, his name's Michael Janda. He was a guest on our show. And doing research for him, I looked at his carousels like, wow, you're the first person who's really using carousels not to self-promote, but to teach. He was taking his book, chopping it down to like micro pieces of content and putting it out there. And it sparked, I don't know why I didn't figure it out before, but I have literally 100 keynote decks, if not more. And each one of those have at least a couple of carousels in them. And I was thinking, and after I met or chatted with Michael, I said, Michael, you've inspired me. I'm going to take it on. I'm going to go do this thing. So that's the only hacky thing I did, which was to use carousels to teach. And if you're a person who either works in sequential design, if you do editorial spreads for magazines, or you think sequentially, carousels are your thing. If you do presentations, it's the same thing. Got it. When you first started, it took you 7 hours to do a post. I mean, I'm sure by now you've kind of optimized it. So how long does it take you now? The quickest I've gotten one done it was 30 minutes, but it's about 2.5 hours. And sometimes I'll do as many as 5 carousels a day.
And you're also very responsive on Instagram too, because that's how we're sitting here right now. What's the story behind that? Why so responsive?
That's just a carryover from my YouTube, Twitter way of thinking, my modus operandi, which is if you want people to engage, which is what you really want, and you don't engage with them, what's the point? You don't reward them for engaging. So what I do is when I post something, when we premiere a video, I'll hang around for a while. I want to make sure when I post something, I've got about an hour of time after I post it to respond to comments and questions. And I make it a habit. 2 days later, I'm not going to respond that much. So I really am telling you, if you hang out, if you stay notified in terms of my own content, I'll respond. I'll answer your questions. And sometimes I'm a little snarky. I get it. But that's what I do. And if you show up for that, then it's a good relationship.
If people wanted to get started with your style of posting, because what I'm seeing right now is there's actually a lot of inspiration. I think it's probably being pulled from you and I think the other guy that you mentioned.
Yep.
I'm seeing that all over the place now,
Yes.
right? So how do people get started?
It's really easy. Okay. If you don't have anything to say, which is commonly the issue, because I don't know what to say, I don't know what to talk about. So here's my thing. There's this book that you've been meaning to read that's been sitting on your coffee table in your library. Go read that book. As you're reading it, take notes. As you're taking notes, share those notes. So we've been told before, teach what you know. Well, what does anybody know really? So the easier phrase to me is teach while you learn. It removes all the barriers. Everybody can teach while they're learning. And you can put a disclaimer. I'm new to this pricing thing. Here's what I learned today, and this is really exciting. This gives you a lot of room for failure, for trolls to say, you know what, they're still learning. That's cool. They'll learn that by the end of that book, it's going to be different. And that's totally okay. I love the idea of enrolling people into what it is that you do while you're doing it. What I want to do is smash all the barriers to like getting started. You got to get started. If you follow me on Instagram, I also get into the tools, the tactics, where you should put the heavy content, at what frame, how the algorithm kind of looks at your content a little bit, but it's not too heavy in terms of that kind of stuff.
Okay, so you have your YouTube, you said 600,000 subscribers, and Instagram's about to break 200,000.
Yep.
What other channels are you hitting right now?
I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Twitter, we're on Facebook. There isn't a lot of platforms we're not on. And we try to do each of them well, and if we can't, we kind of just leave it dormant. But the first thing we want to do is everybody go claim your name in whatever space there is. It's a digital real estate. You want to have the same name across as many platforms as possible. Anytime a new one comes up, register your name and just leave it alone for a while. So I'm a little over 40,000 followers on Twitter. Twitter to me has been the hardest one to crack. They're the one that have to work the most at to get a little bit of subscribers. But the ones that do follow you, they're really engaged.
Yep.
That's how I look at it. Ones that are easy, they're casual fans, so to speak. Yeah.
And LinkedIn?
LinkedIn has been really kind to me too, in that I now have this content strategy where the highest performing carousels on Instagram, I combine them and I repurpose them for LinkedIn and use the share document feature. And that is also something that the algorithm likes. And so I compared standard looking multi-image posts, basically the same content, and a carousel post, and it's outperformed by a factor of 10x.
And is it you managing each and every one of these channels?
Sadly, yes. It is. I also have the company, social media, and somebody else manages that. There's a whole team.
Yeah.
And my challenge is to the entire team, keep up with the one guy.
Yeah.
And I'm old, so I'm like, you got to keep up with the old man.
Okay. So what previously were you using these channels to generate leads for the agency and now you're switching it over?
No. I have to admit that posting for the company has always been weird for us because the company is a bunch of people. It's not just me.
Yep.
And I think about sending out a message that feels responsible, corporate, safe, and all that kind of stuff. And after you do that, it feels like a lot of ads that you're putting out there. So we had medium to low engagement, and I didn't really want to harm the brand of the company, mostly because it was mostly my creative directors running the spots and interacting with clients. I needed to find a safe place for me to express who I am. YouTube was that place. Instagram is that place. Nobody thinks Chris Do and Blind are exactly the same, so it's okay.
Yeah.
And I say things and I do things that probably they don't all agree with, my own team, and it's totally okay.
Yep.
That became this super liberating thing that now my brand has a voice, it has a personality, has a viewpoint. I steer clear of religion and politics, but other than that, it's really my point of view, and I'm going to put it out there.
Yeah, it's very similar. So on the other side, I have an ad agency, and there are people that will write stuff where they just fundamentally disagree with the content that we put out because it's me, right? But it's me, and so there's like this tug of war between like, should we put more money into the company's marketing or like me, right? But what I'm finding is people want to do business with like the people that they like. Yeah. They might not necessarily agree with everything, but like, why do you like all these influencers in the world? It's because there's something that jives with them. So you're an Emmy award-winning director, designer, strategist, and educator. What has that done for you?
Nothing. Except for when they introduce me on stage, people get excited about that Emmy.
Yeah,
I won that Emmy through, like, I'm just being real honest with you guys. A office manager said, "Chris, we want to help you get an Emmy." I'm like, "Oh, okay, whatever." Yeah. We don't do a lot of show titles, so how are you gonna do this? And they looked through the categories and they found the one category that I could submit work for, and it's called a individual achievement in art direction, and you can submit anything. Yep. So we submitted a music video, not even a main title, and we did that. And I was shocked. Yeah. They're like, "Okay, you get one." And that's how I won an Emmy. It was just like that, where people have been submitting and competing for one for years and never winning anything. It kind of creates this false expectation that you can submit once and win. But that's what happened.
I'm not going to compare this to the Fortune 30 under 30, but literally what's going on with that right now is it's becoming like this perverse thing where they're making a 30 under 30 for all these different subcategories, and that's how they're monetizing really well because publications it's difficult right now. Yeah. So now I want to come back to the 1 billion number. So why 1 billion people?
I'm a big believer in setting big, hairy, audacious goals, a bag. And the goals are supposed to kind of make you feel a little uneasy in your stomach. And it's supposed to be something that you work, I think, the rest of your life to attain. And it's okay that you don't achieve that, but it's the person you become in the pursuit of that goal. So for me, it was really important to set that moonshot to say, like, we might not make it, we might not colonize Mars, but let's work towards that. And if we do, we'll just slap ourselves and say, I can't believe we're here. And the 1 billion thing, I think I heard somewhere there's 7 billion people on Earth currently. So it's like 1 in 7. That seems pretty audacious. And I'm not going to literally count like every single person that like sends me an email as one. So if I educate an educator, that has the multiplication effect, and they teach 30 students, and as long as I'm still alive, I'll count that. It's just a general number.
Got it. Okay, so there's no real exact science to how you're tracking that right now, because
there will be.
Okay. Oh, I did want to talk about that too, because I was kind of debating with myself and other people, like, 1 billion is a great number. I had the same exact number, right?
Yes.
Now, then we started to break it down a little more. And we're like, maybe it should be like 40 million. That's a much more tangible, but it's like, is the 1 billion like all the people that listen to my podcast, right? Is it like, does that count? So how do you look at it?
I would say yes.
Yes?
Yes, for sure.
Okay.
So it turns out a fan told me, I have an idea on how you can count your billion. And it just coincided with something I was thinking. Back when I was a kid growing up, we didn't have a lot of money, and we would drive by McDonald's. Like, McDonald's was a treat back in the day. Now I never eat there, but you drive by and it's like 200 million hamburgers sold. I'm like, or served. I thought that was pretty cool. And now it's like some ginormous number, right? And I was thinking, we need something like that, but how do we do that? There aren't cash register transactions we can count. So a fan suggested that we have a counter that's live on our site, that if you want to count yourself as the 1 billion, you click on that, you put in some information, and it counts you as one. So we'll just see that live and changing over time. That'll be a really good way to see.
So you're aggregating all your kind of the views across the channels that you have.
Well, this one would require you to physically do something, so it'd be a really accurate count. We'd have to verify through CAPTCHA and putting in some unique things so we know some superfan doesn't put it in 100 times.
See, I like that more, because when I look at once you have a podcast that's going really well, or like let's say you're a Tim Ferriss or whatever, right? You're getting 4 or 5 million downloads a month, or a Joe Rogan, you're gonna hit that billion very quickly. So I like yours, where it's a little more like they have to take an action, and I like that. So maybe I'm gonna come back to you and maybe steal that later.
Of course.
So 1 billion, and then you talked about making money doing what they love, but not being slimy. Where does that come from?
Well, this is really to touch on the creative person, that there's this separation between church and state, where I make art, I don't talk about money. If I take money or talk about money, then I'm not an artist. And we have to get over this feeling. So there are a lot of really slick, sophisticated sales programs. I'm sure you know all of them from these people, but they're designed for people who love sales, who want to go out in real estate or move equipment, something like that. And they're hardwired to do that, and they love that aspect. So the adding of the not feeling gross part says, I'm also kind of conscientious of this idea that we don't like to sell, and it cheapens the art in your mind. So I need to find a way for creative people to love selling. And so we make we reframe it so there's a conceptual mind shift that moves away from what sales is. A lot of people think of sales, and we all have a story or two about the pushy salesperson who doesn't really care about you. They just need to meet a sales quota, and they're annoying and aggressive. We need to move away from that. So to me, selling isn't trying to convince somebody of something at all. It's about serving them. How may I be of service to you? How can I help you achieve a goal that matters to you? And if I can't, I'm out. Thank you very much for your time.
When you decided to say, okay, let's not focus as much on client services, can you give us a rough range on how the company was doing employees-wise, revenue range, that kind of stuff?
I'll give you exact numbers. I'll give you whatever you want. The most we've ever built was in 2007. We almost broke $7 million as a 20-person company, and we're doing pretty good. And we've done pretty good numbers most of my career. The average year would be about 5 million. 4 million would be a bad year for us. So as we're winding down out of the service industry, we're doing about $4 million a year. And when we made the switch over to doing the Futur full time, we had just cracked $1 million. And we were at that point growing 300% year over year. So it was an exciting time. So our goal this year was to hit 3.5. We're not going to hit that. We slow down a little bit. We're going to have to solve that. We'll most likely hit 3 million. I'm not sure because November is our biggest month of the year, like most retail places. So we'll see.
And how long? So you said you had the agencies for 23 years, 24?
Since 1995, so it's 24 years now.
Got it. And how long do you think it took you, for people looking to start right now, how long did it take you to break 7 figures on that agency?
I think the first 2 years.
Okay, got it. And then more or less, you've been hovering around 4 or 5 million.
I would say the first 5 years, it was right around $2.2 million in revenue. And I got kind of frustrated. Like, why can't I get beyond 2.2?
Yeah.
I hired a business coach that year. We did 3.9. And then from that point forward, like, we didn't look back anymore.
Yeah, makes sense. I saw one of your Twitter posts earlier. You have ebooks, you have the 149 courses, you have $1,000 and then $1,000 hour coaching. Sorry, you said 4,000 as a higher tier. Are there any other plans?
We do group coaching. You could join a private secret Facebook group, which is right now currently $150 a month. There's like 270 people in there, give or take. We plan on growing that. There are, like I said, donors who decide to give us $5 to $25 to $50 a month with no strings attached. It's not like Patreon. We don't promise you anything. You do it because you love us, and there's a lot of people who do love us. I do speak at conferences. I'm getting paid to do that. There will most likely be a conference that we produce ourselves in 2020, but I'm not sure yet.
Okay. Favorite design book?
Favorite design book would probably be Zag from Marty Neumeier. And almost all of Marty Neumeier's books are great. He talks about branding. I don't think there are great design books where they show you works of other people. But in terms of like them being able to articulate how you got there as an instructional thing, not very good. So I really love the way that Marty simplifies complex ideas. And the way he writes really makes the information super digestible.
If someone wants to get better at design, aside from looking at your stuff, which they should definitely check out, what would be your preferred way of getting better?
Okay. The cheapest, fastest way to do this probably is to pick up a couple of books on typography. There's Typography, Form, and Communication by Philip Meggs and a couple of people, and another one by Eric Spiekerman called Stop Stealing Sheep and Learn How Type Works. And that's also an excellent way to get started.
Great. And favorite business book?
Probably Jim Rohn's book, The 7 Strategies of Wealth and Happiness. It's probably one of my favorite books of all time.
Jim Rohn fan. Okay, great.
Hardcore.
Okay. Favorite business tool? Favorite tool to grow your business?
I'm not much of a tools person, so my favorite tool right now is using Keynote. I love Keynote. I use Keynote for just about everything. I use it to do my carousels, to do presentations, even just to block out designs for people. I use it for almost everything because it's really simple. It's very easy to use. It doesn't have a lot of nuance to it, which designers get lost in the details, and it allows you to block things out and communicate quickly. And it's super versatile. You can make a PDF, you can make a PowerPoint presentation, you can make a website, you can animate from it, you can record video and audio with it. It's pretty sweet that way.
And you use Keynote for your carousel Okay.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
People like are what?
Yeah.
I try
How'd
to
you
use
do that?
Keynote almost exclusively.
What advice would you give to your 20-year-old self?
Get on the platforms right now. Learn how to articulate what you're thinking because you get clarity through articulation. My teachers told me this before and I never listened to them. Write, create things, share what it is you're thinking to discover what it is you're thinking.
Cool. I love that. All right, Chris, this has been really good. I really want people to check out, especially your Instagram, everything. I mean, your Twitter too, everything. So what's the best way for people to find you online?
Okay, find me on Instagram and Twitter and LinkedIn. I'm at the Chris Doe. And on YouTube, you're going to find us at The Future is Here. The future is spelled without an E. Just remember, drop the ego, and then you have the future.
Wow. Okay. Chris, thanks so much for doing this.
My pleasure. Thank you, Eric.
Let us know if you want us to do more interviews like this, because this is actually in person at my place in downtown. It takes a lot of time to set up. We want to know if it's worth the effort. We want to know if you loved it. So put a heart below if you loved it. Heart me on Twitter if you loved it. Heart me on Instagram, all right? So that's it for today, and we'll see you tomorrow.